Of course, there are a few crucial points you must always keep in mind. First, you will show me the proper respect. You will do exactly as I instruct. As for the consequences of disobedience, well, you've just seen them. Second, Qin Tang continued his long speech. The cultivators below remained outwardly silent, yet privately, frantic messages flew back and forth through divine sense. Does anyone know what's going on? It's an oddity. This Cloudwater Palace must be ancient sect ruins overrun with oddities. Is that Qin Tang even human? Or is he something else? He's definitely not alive. Can't you feel he has no aura at all? Everyone, stay calm. Oddities follow their own rules. If we simply do what this Qin Tang says, we should be safe for now. Li Fan quietly glanced toward Sikong Yi and Bei Li Chen. Their expressions remained completely calm, as though they had expected to encounter oddities. Or perhaps they already had a plan for dealing with them. Li Fan turned his attention back to the white-robed Qin Tang. From the experiences of those who had explored Cloudwater Palace in his previous life, this Qin Tang was the first trial newcomers faced upon entering. He was not a living person but an existence similar to an oddity itself. His words were the rules of the oddity. To survive, one had to obey. Qin Tang finally finished speaking. He clapped his hands together. It's getting late. I'll take you to your quarters to rest. The trials begin tomorrow morning. Follow me. With that, he turned and walked toward the edge of the plaza. The vast majority of cultivators, including Sikong Yi and Bei Li Chen, obediently followed the white-robed Qin Tang. Only a handful chose not to comply. After exchanging glances, they sped off in the opposite direction, attempting to escape. Qin Tang appeared completely unaware of their actions, showing no reaction at all. As these cultivators fled, they failed to notice the faint blue light seeping from their bodies, growing stronger the farther they moved from Qin Tang. Eventually, after traveling some distance, they all withered into desiccated corpses and crashed heavily to the ground. The cultivators following Qin Tang noticed the distant scene, and a collective shiver of dread ran through them. What fools! We warned them they'd encountered an oddity, yet they still tried to run. They truly don't know the meaning of death. I recognized one of them, Foundation Establishment cultivator Sun Kairong. His techniques were quite powerful. I never imagined he'd die so silently. Strange, when they died, why weren't there the usual heavenly phenomena? Fellow Taoist, is this your first time hearing of oddities? Where an oddity holds sway, it sets its own rules. Most common knowledge becomes useless. That's why we must be even more cautious. Thank you for the guidance, fellow Taoist. Before long, Qin Tang led them into a large, imposing building. Each room was sparsely furnished, lacking any decoration. They contained only 5 plain wooden beds. Qin Tang turned and addressed the group. Very well, everyone will rest here tonight. Gather in the plaza first thing tomorrow morning. Having said that, he shook his head and walked out. Oh, and remember to sleep early. With the oppressive presence of the oddity gone, Li Fan chose a nearby room. He lay down on a bed and circulated the Xianhuang Heart Refinement Sutra. The distracting thoughts in his mind vanished. In no time, he sank into deep, heavy sleep. Not everyone could keenly sense what was coming. Quite a few were still whispering to their companions, looking agitated and unable to sleep. Time passed slowly just like that. Suddenly, every light in the large building went out at once. In the pitch darkness, Qin Tang's voice echoed, soft and eerie. Hiya, this new batch isn't very obedient. I did tell you to sleep early. How come so many are still awake? It would be a shame if you're too tired for tomorrow morning's trial. Since you can't sleep, let me help you. Horrifying, wet sounds echoed through the darkness, one after another. No one could tell how many cultivators perished, dying without even a chance to scream. Only then did everyone present understand. Qin Tang's earlier reminder to sleep early had not been mere advice or a joke, it had been a warning. But it was too late now. The cultivators' presences winked out one by one, vanishing from divine sense. After killing them, Qin Tang's mood seemed to lighten slightly. This duty is so tiresome. If the sect leader and my martial brothers and sisters hadn't all disappeared, I wouldn't have to handle this. Boring, so boring, I'd rather go drink. His words were disjointed, his actions whimsical and unpredictable. As his voice faded into the distance, the surviving cultivators inside the building collectively breathed a sigh of relief. But no one could guarantee when Qin Tang might return, so they all tried to seize the moment to fall asleep. Yet there was a problem, something those who often suffered from insomnia knew all too well. If you have no mental burdens, you can fall asleep almost the moment you decide to. But the opposite is also true. If you fixate on needing to sleep and force yourself, you'll likely jolt awake just as you're drifting off. Add to that the fact that many of these cultivators had long replaced sleep with secluded meditation and had effectively lost the ability to sleep naturally. So, even knowing that staying awake meant death, many still failed to fall asleep. When he returned in the latter half of the night, another wave of bloodshed followed. When Li Fan awoke the next morning, he found the building littered with corpses. As he had expected, Jiao Xiuyuan had not survived the night. Without delay, Li Fan headed straight to the previous day's plaza. Having learned from the night's lesson, the remaining cultivators didn't wander elsewhere and gathered obediently in the plaza instead. The crowd was sparse, fewer than 2/3 had survived. The trial hadn't even officially begun, yet so many had already fallen. Thus, the survivors were deeply pessimistic about what lay ahead, their expressions grim. In the crowd, Li Fan also spotted Si Kong Yi and Bai Li Chen. His gaze swept over them without lingering. He waited quietly for Qin Tang to arrive. It wasn't long before Qin Tang appeared before the crowd once more. He held a gourd of wine, taking deep swigs as he walked. "Excellent wine!" Qin Tang exclaimed with gusto before turning his attention to the survivors in the plaza. His gaze swept over the surviving cultivators. "Good, it seems everyone has gathered, then let us formally begin the first trial." He narrowed his eyes slightly, as if recalling something. "My master once said that when seeking immortality and the Tao, 3 things matter most: talent, temperament, and fortune. My master believed talent was the most important of the 3. But I disagree. I believe temperament is paramount. Thus, the 3 trials I've prepared all relate to temperament." Qin Tang spoke slowly as he led the group into a pavilion. The structure had 3 floors. The first level, where they stood, contained hundreds of bookshelves. Each shelf was packed with books. Every single book was clearly a cultivation technique. Instantly, everyone's breathing grew heavy. A single thought bloomed simultaneously in the minds of every cultivator present: we've struck gold. The first floor alone held far more than 10,000 techniques. If they could take just a few of these out, it would be worth more than a decade of grueling toil, though these cultivators were already salivating over the techniques on the shelves. They were still intimidated by Qin Tang's earlier display of power, and dared not make any rash moves. Qin Tang seemed oblivious to the strange atmosphere among the cultivators. He gazed at the rows upon rows of bookshelves, a look of nostalgia in his eyes. Then, he spoke slowly. "The Tao of the heart lies in focus, courage, and perseverance. This first trial will test your capacity for focus. Here, you will find 36,541 techniques. Over the next 3 months, you will remain here and copy these techniques. After 3 months, I will evaluate you based on both the quantity and quality of your copies." Upon hearing Qin Tang's words, the cultivators present were overjoyed. They were being given free access to copy all these techniques. Just memorizing a few would make this entire venture worthwhile, even if they gained nothing else afterward. Ignoring the cultivators' reactions, Qin Tang casually pointed a finger. Over 100 sets of desks and chairs rose from the floor of the pavilion. "Well then, you may begin. I hope you won't disappoint me." "Humph, I need to sleep first. Last night truly exhausted me." Then he leaned back against the wall and went completely still, as if he had fallen asleep. With Qin Tang's permission, the cultivators could no longer restrain themselves. They rushed to the bookshelves, snatching up the techniques to examine them closely.